Hello all, welcome back to our channel. As we are doing AWS certification path series for various roles, we are creating content for what are the materials and what are the resources has to be followed in order to start with and how to what are the challenges we are going to face as part of this preparing for this examination, how to uh, complete those examination without any issues, what are the resources needs to be followed. And we had uploaded few some of the videos already with the various roles which is recommended by AWS, and for the resources and documentations and material has to be followed. And if you want to check out, please go and verify from our already uploaded videos in our channel. And now today we are going to discuss about the AWS certification path for DevOps. So as recommended by AWS, there are three certification path uh, which is defined as part of this DevOps paths. We have test engineer and for the cloud SecOps engineers and for the cloud DevOps engineer. There are three road path which is recommended by AWS, and we are going to discuss about one by one. So what are the materials has to be followed, and what are the resources which we are going to follow, and what is the process in order to uh, start with and get into that particular certifications. Okay. So also just want to update few things like, okay, so if somebody want to start for the cloud computing first time, or maybe for which already working professional, they are going to start with that. So they are not aware maybe which services or which path we need to may start with. So that is the reason AWS come up with this path, as well as for that some of the each certification we have the syllabus. Okay, so what are the in scope services? What are the out scope services? So better to go ahead and study with that materials. For example, each certification we have that defined resource means defined syllabus. Okay, so please download those syllabus and go through each and every services. So what are the things has to be follow as part of the services? Okay. So now, in order to start with, so basically, if you want to start newly, then I would suggest, and also I would recommend to please go through that path which is provided, which is defined by AWS, so that you know where to start and how to end those things, right? So also you have some kind of the different the some kind of the way from where to start and how to proceed and where to end. So that is how this curriculum, which is defined by each and every cloud services provider, and better to start with instead of starting with random or maybe for basically pick up some of the services which is already there in that service providers. Instead of that, please go ahead and pick up particular role or maybe pick up some of the particular certifications and download the syllabus for the particular certification, then go through each and every services which is defined as part of that, study with that, then do some practical which is defined as part of that, then do more maybe for the more practical manner, and also you can study in-depth knowledge, then you go ahead and prepare for that, attend for that exam. So that is how you need to start with. So better to instead of studying randomly, or maybe you pick some of the services in a random format and study instead of doing that. So I would suggest, and you go ahead and with respective resources, and for that which is defined by AWS, and pick up those services certifications, and download the document guide, download the syllabus, and go through those syllabus, what are the services covered, then you start with that, so that it will be easy to follow that syllabus, as well as for to follow where to start and where to end. So that is how you need to follow for in order to process in a proper way. Okay. Okay, I think it's fine. So let's get into this video for this first role. For this test engineer, and we have cloud DevOps engineer, and then we have DevSecOps engineer. As part of this DevOps category, there are three roles and responsibility which is defined by AWS, and also we have this each role. What are the certification needs to be covered in order to become a particular to achieve that particular role. Okay, so just get into that. Then we'll go for the in detail definition. So what are the things needs to be followed? Let's see. Okay, now if you see here, the first thing is that test engineer, right? So which is defined by AWS, and for the cloud DevOps engineer and cloud SecOps engineer. So as I told you already, okay, so we don't know. So if suppose I am a test engineer, we don't know how to start. So we don't know how to start with the cloud computing in order to enhance my skill into the test engineering field. So what I would do, maybe instead of going and pick up those services randomly, so what I will do, so I would follow this process, which is recommended by AWS, so that I can have that clear-cut idea. So I can go ahead and learn with this each step by step, so that I can have um, in a proper way that so where I can start and what are the things I need to follow, what are the things I need to learn, then how to what are the knowledge I need to gather those in order to achieve this role. Okay, now if you want to start with, so basically we have to start with the cloud practitioner first. So it is a optional one. I think if you don't know any knowledge about cloud computing earlier, maybe you can start with that to understand about okay, what are the services or what it is and what are the services which used for which purpose. So basically it's give random means overall idea about this cloud computing with respect to AWS. Okay, so and also for the services for which service for which purpose we are using it. So basically it will give for the overall idea. So better to start with that. If you have already some idea about cloud computing also, we you have worked on it, maybe you can skip for this particular certification. Then it's depends on you. Maybe you want to start with the fresh, maybe you can start with this cloud practitioner. And if you don't want, maybe I have some idea or I have some basic knowledge on it, then you can very well go ahead and skip on this particular certification. Okay, then we will have to go for the next certification like recommended by AWS Developer Associate. Okay, basically this would be for complete CI/CD pipeline and for the code cloud means uh, uh, code commit, code build, and for uh, basically for the source code, how we are going to handling the source code and what are the SDK materials. So what are the SDK tools and how we are going to event driven architecture and for basically security and what are the things needs to be followed when some particular user in order to start with basically code build, code commit, code deploy. So these are the basically some of the services which covered as well as for the some of the various SDK tools, command line interface, and many services which includes, right. So you have to go through that all those services which is defined as part of this. That is the reason I told in the first start of the video. So like you download the syllabus, then you have to go through the services. What are the services which is already there, and you have to prepare accordingly. Okay, once you have done this, maybe you can take for 2 to 3 months to study well and also practice it. Then basically you can go ahead and give an examination so that you can understand so what level you are in. And I will also recommend like okay, so oh, you have to work hard. Okay, there is no shortcut, there is no um, short way to get into that. But in a practical, in a final exam, maybe it is fully testing on your skills only. But basically, you need to be understand the services and understand the use cases. Then only you can go ahead and give that correct answer. Otherwise, it is you can't able to do that for the perfect answer. Okay, then once you have done this, maybe you can go ahead and do for the next level like the uh, specially means advanced level like DevOps engineer professional. Okay, this is for the advanced level. Maybe it will cover basically for all the services, most of the services with respect to development as well as for the testing phases. And you need to go through that in-depth knowledge about the particular all those services. Okay, so I think for this specifically pretty much good for the test engineer. Then we have next role would be for the cloud DevOps engineer, right? So basically for this role, okay, so if you see design, development, and operation of large scale hybrid cloud computing environment, advocating for end-to-end automated CI/CD DevOps pipelines. Basically for this continuous integration and continuous deployment, basically it will cover, as I told you earlier, so all kind of uh, development plus testing. Uh, Basically, it will cover what are the services which include as part of that. I think you, as I told you earlier, you just go through phase by phase. Okay, so the certification wise, so that you will get the very good knowledge on that particular roles. Okay, so the certification path. Let's look into the certification path. The first certification would be for this AWS Cloud Practitioner. So I told you already. Maybe you can, if you want to take it, take it. Otherwise, if you, this up to you. If you want to skip it also, then you can skip it. For the freshers, maybe for the person who's going to start with freshly, if they are not aware, maybe earlier for not about what is cloud computing, what are the services, how it is working, then maybe they can go ahead and do that. In case if they are already some experience, maybe they are aware some of the services which how to integrate and how to use that, maybe you can go ahead and skip it. It's up to you. Maybe you can plan it accordingly. Then we have developed next certification would be for the developer or associate. I think this is the next certification. So once you, as I told earlier, as part of this test engineer role, maybe you can go ahead and learn that. So basically, for associate level, I would suggest always, okay, try to complete for the fundamental as well as for the associate level, because most of the for all the roles which is defined by AWS, okay. So basically, for the fundamentals as well as for the associate level certification, always be there. So right now we have one fundamental certification. We have four associate level certification. Recently, AWS added for this data engineer. Earlier it was three. Now recently added for this data engineer certification, which is coming into that live on maybe you need to take an examination maybe after March, maybe March 12 onwards, something like that. So I think it is recently launched. So before that we have three. Maybe you can accordingly you can prepare it. Okay, the developer. So that is the reason I told you fundamental and associate always we will be there for each and every role. Maybe I would recommend you start with fundamental if you don't have any idea. Maybe if you have already idea or you have some experience, we'll start go and complete for the four associate level. So it would be very good exposure for you for to start with the, maybe it's not start with, maybe you have, once you have done that, maybe you have a good amount of knowledge to work with that particular any kind of cloud role. That would I say. Okay. So I think once you have done this developer associate, then you can go ahead and for sysops administrator associate. I think this is the one of the hardest one among the associate level. I think it is pretty much cover everything, most of the services also. I think it's very good certification. You in order to for kind of operation roles. Okay. So to monitoring, troubleshooting, alerting. Okay, so these are the things maybe basically cover mostly with respect to security wise as well. So I think you start with that. So once you have done this, again it is given for optional. I think it's provided as an optional one. But still, if you want to do, maybe you can, as part of this role, maybe you can try to do that. And for the deep dive, you can go ahead and do for this DevOps engineer professional. Okay, I think pretty much covered for this cloud and DevOps engineer roles. Then we have DevSecOps engineer. Basically, we added for security for this DevOps role. So basically, we need to have some kind of added security roles for the for that we are going to discuss about for what are the certification we are going to cover as part of this. Maybe if you see the AWS recommended certification path is for first one would be foundational. As I told you earlier, cloud practitioner. It's up to you if you want to do that, or maybe if you want to skip it. It depends. And for the next thing you see here, SysOps administrator here is a compulsory, right? So that is the reason I told you for associate level always would be there for each and every role. So I think please consider accordingly and you can do it. Then we have DevOps engineer professional as well as for the security specialty. Okay, so I think this is the path, right? So there are um, core certification which is covered as part of this for the DevOps SecOps engineer. I think better to uh, understand this each and every certification syllabus and go through that in scope and out scope services, then prepare accordingly. Okay. I think you got some of the ideas. So what are the certification we need to cover as part of this each and every role? I think prepare accordingly. Maybe you can note it down if you want any doubt or any clarification. Accordingly, you can go ahead and prepare it. Okay. Okay. Next thing would be like, okay, now we are going to discuss about for the uh, preparation steps. Okay. If you see the steps, right? So maybe there are different kinds of, okay, there are lot of documentation, there are lot of videos, or there are lot of ways is there to prepare for that. But what about the ways which I followed? But it would be even for most of the people also is following, and I have collected those things, and it's up to maybe it's you can also follow this, and it's still it depends. If you want to learn many things, maybe you can go ahead and refer many online tutorials, or maybe for online videos or whatever it may be. But I collected some of the things, maybe I am just sharing with that. So first thing would be for the digital platform like Udemy platform. You can see I basically recommend for this Stephane Maarek and Neal Davis courses, and you can get it from that Udemy and you can prepare it. Then we have learn Cantrill.io. See, Adrian Cantrill is the instructor. So this is also one of the very good course. And if you for this subscription based, maybe if you go ahead and if you want to spend and you can learn, maybe you can purchase it and learn it. And also for some of the things I have added, Cloud Academy and Plural sites, there are many more. Okay, so I just given for the some of the things which I use also for the basically most of the people are using it. So then we have practical and labs. As I told you earlier, maybe practical is very, very important. So when you see reading is one part, maybe when you do the practical, maybe it will be there for lifelong. Maybe for that, you can remember it for a long time. Okay. So that is the reason whenever doing that, right? So learn by doing it, right? So that is the reason. Just whenever you're learning it, just do it as a practical manner, so that you can understand easily and also you can relate it to whenever if you want to go for or whenever going to apply your knowledge into your project as well as for any other applications, right? So here I given some of the list for that. We have any of AWS Free Tier account, so you start with that and do whatever you want. And once you have done, maybe you can means destroy all the resources, whatever the things which you have used to avoid the bills. So another thing is that Whizlabs, we have that Whizlabs. Okay, so platform. You have that sandbox and you can download it and you can do that still if you want. And also we have Cloud Academy, so you can do that whatever. Maybe if you want to you do more practice, then you can do that. So then we have, so once you have done for learn by doing, so once you have learned and you have done the practical also, then what you need to do, so you need to test your knowledge in order to uh, in order to test your capability, right? So before going to that real exam. Okay, so for that we have a practice exam, but I would always recommend, okay, take practice exam before going for the real exam. Okay, always. So what you need to do, so take the practice exam as much as possible and understand it. And after that, once you are taking the premier, once you have done, so what you need to do, you need to analyze the answer. Okay, so for what are the means, what are the right thing, what are the wrong things. Even you study for wrong thing as well as for the right thing also. So answers, I'm saying options answer means options for option as well as for the wrong options, right? So to understand your knowledge means understand your more capability, right? So in order to understand for the particular scenario. Okay, so for that I just provided for three author certification for that practice test course. So if you see Udemy platform, I would prefer. Okay, so Stephane Maarek, Neal Davis, and Jon Bonso. So I think you can purchase it for any one of the other. and you need to go through that and understand it. Okay, so if you want to take more, then you can go ahead and purchase for other. Okay, I think fine. So maybe hopefully you can have some idea like, okay, so which platform I need to follow, maybe what are the things I need to follow in order to do the practical, then before going for the real exam. So how to do for the practice exam. Okay, so once you have done, maybe the next step would be for, okay, so uh, as I told you earlier, right? So you need to download the particular official documentation and for go through those syllabus, whatever the things which is defined with respect to particular certification, and you need to find out for the in scope and out scope, then you need to learn it. That is the reason I just provided for the official documentation, right? So maybe it is there in the Amazon website. So still I can give this link, all the links into the description link, description path. So you just go ahead and refer it the description box, and you can uh, access it. Okay. So we have these three roles, right? As part of this DevOps, test engineer, cloud DevOps engineer, and DevSecOps engineer. Okay. So once you have done, so and one more thing I would refer means prepare for this AWS official documentation is very important. Okay. So what I would recommend, please always refer the AWS official documentation. So lot of data means details which is already available. So it is very vast, but you have very good passion to learn all those things, right? So I think I collected all the URL which is with respect to for all the certifications. Anyhow, I will provide all those links in the description box. You just download it and you can means you can click on those links, and you can, if you want to do that, you can learn it. Okay. So anyhow, I will provide all those things. See, you can refer it. Okay. So once you have done this, you can see here. Okay. So some of the resources with respect to particular AWS specific documentation. Okay, official documentation. Okay, okay. Once you have done this, maybe you can see you are ready for that examination. So uh, prepare it for any certification if you want to take 2 to 3 months. Uh, Learn it, practice it, and for take practice exam and apply for your real exam. Okay, it's very simple, and it depends on everyone. Somebody is having new, maybe they are going to put on more effort. If somebody is already working, maybe they'll have some idea, then they can spend on some of the times for those services and prepare it and going for the examination. Okay, as I told you already, certification is the great way to start with, and also it will help you a lot. Okay, so how to start with particular uh, services, and also how to utilize your knowledge in order to learn in a proper way and apply those knowledge into that particular field, any field, like anything if you want to work it. Okay, so this is the great way to achieve your goal. Maybe you can, once you start with that, you will come to know all those things, right? Okay, so that's all from my end. Okay, so if you need more clarity, or if you need more information from that, or I recently done for one of the certification for AWS SysOps administrator, which is, as I told you already, it's quite complex comparatively for other associate levels. So I think if you start with that, uh, it's a good way to learn the things, right? So learn the things uh, in a good manner. So like, so happily, so that you can learn very easy without any issues, right? So and also learn by doing it. Okay, so you learn something and practice it, those whatever you learn, and apply that knowledge into your project as well as for your any kind of work, like, okay, for your pre-project, or maybe for your local environment, whatever it may be. Okay, so apply those knowledge and see how the outcome is coming. Okay, so this is how you need to do. Okay, so all the okay, that's all from my end as of today. Maybe for this exam, this video, maybe the next video, maybe we'll post for the next path. All the very best. Uh, See you for the next video. Thank you.